23rd. So very well priced tickets for another legendary showdown with the legendary Bernard Hopkins. By now almost 50 years old, has been giving rocking chairs at press conferences and canes, and yet he keeps on surprising all of you and really turning back the clock. He has been involved in some of the biggest fights, has been making history, started really that history tour, I would say about 20 years ago, when he was set out to do the middleweight title defenses, the 20 middleweight title defenses, and then the rest we all know is just one history-making fight after the other. For him to go back into the ring here with Chad Dawson just shows you what Bernard Hopkins is all about. Chad Dawson is a young, strong, very talented fighter, and I really can't wait for the first bell to ring to witness that showdown between these two great athletes. This fight is promoted by Golden Boy and Gary Shaw Promotion. It's a co-promotion. It's always a pleasure to work with Gary. We get along very well, never really have any issues. And I think we put that fight together in, when I say 5 minutes, I'm probably exaggerating. That's how business is done between the two of us, straightforward and easy. Always a pleasure to work with him. I'd like to thank as well our sponsors, Corona and AT&T. You're going to see much more of Corona in the coming months and fights. Corona is the leading export beer here in the US market. Sells about 120 million cases compared to like the Gatte sells 20 million cases. So it's a big company, and they are going to put their pull and their distribution network fully behind this fight as well, to really maximize the exposure for the fight and for those two amazing athletes. It's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Gary Shaw to make some opening comments about the fight. Gary?
Bernard, how are you? Let me guarantee you one thing. Chad Dawson in this fight will be linsational. Guaranteed. Hey, that's New York. That's New York. I want to thank Ken Hirschman from HBO for buying this fight. When others thought that nobody would buy the fight, he stepped up to the plate immediately and bought the fight. This is a real fight between two real fighters. So I want to thank Ken and Terry and Mark and the rest of the staff, and of course my old friend Ken Condon from Caesars for providing the site and helping us with the fight. New Jersey Commission, Aaron, thank you. It's everybody knows my history with the New Jersey Commission. So I thank you all very much for coming today to this press conference. You're going to see a terrific event, and it will be a real fight this time, and it won't end like it did last time. I guarantee it.
Thank you, Gary. It's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Aaron Davis, the Commissioner of the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, to make some comments.
How's everybody doing? I'm just happy that this fight's going to take place in my jurisdiction in New Jersey. Fights like this are supposed to happen in New Jersey. We consider ourselves as one of the best places for boxing and for the best fighters to show their skills. And I'm pretty sure that night these two fighters will show their best, because we're going to have our best referees, we're going to have our best timekeepers, and we're going to have our best judges. So with that, good luck to both sides, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Certainly one of the best commissions in the world, with the experienced team of referees and of judges, and it's always good to be back in New Jersey. It's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Kerry Davis, the Senior Vice President of Programming for HBO Sports. Kerry was right. Ken Hirschman stepped up and knows that this is a real fight, this is a big fight, and came up with the necessary money to put that fight live on HBO and not on pay-per-view, so it's live on HBO. So I really want to thank HBO for making that commitment. They know that when Bernard Hopkins fights, ratings are coming in. As a matter of fact, if you look at the last few Hopkins fights, they all generated huge live ratings, and I'm sure this one will be doing so again against Chad Dawson. So it's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Kerry Davis.
Thank you, Richard. Webster's dictionary defines logic as the science that investigates the principles governing correct or reliable inference, or said another way, reasoning that creates a certain truth. So to defy logic means that you are in effect defying certain principles of truth. What Hopkins has done in his boxing career has defied logic. It didn't start with his 20 title defenses at middleweight, an extraordinary athletic achievement, or his dominance of Tito Trinidad in the middleweight unification series, certainly something that was considered an upset at the time. But it started with the domination of Kelly Pavlik in a fight we all thought it wasn't a question of whether he won or lost, but a question of whether or not he was going to get knocked out. Then it went on with Tarver, and certainly culminated when he became the oldest man to win the light heavyweight division in John Pascal's hometown. Now he attempts to defend that title, arguably against the most talented fighter in the division in Chad Dawson. Dawson's resume reads like a who's who in the light heavyweight division. 2 wins apiece over both Tarver and Glenn Johnson, and a win over Thomas Adamek, which in retrospect looks terrific, as he is now a heavyweight contender. Logic says that Dawson may be a bridge too far for the old man. Yet just down the street, another athlete is defying logic. An undrafted, lightly recruited Harvard graduate is dominating the basketball world in ways that are inexplicable. Well, I say to you that Hopkins has been defying logic for years, and although there are no cute monikers or nicknames that go with his achievements like Linsanity or Lincredible, like when Lynn plays or when Hopkins fight, you must pay attention. Therefore, Hopkins-Dawson is must-see television. Our start time is 10:15 Eastern, 7:15 Pacific, immediately following 24/7 on the East Coast and preceding 24/7 on the West Coast. One other programming note, we have a terrific doubleheader this Saturday, headlined by Devin Alexander and Marcos Medina. I want to thank Richard and Gary Shaw for putting this terrific and historic fight together, and Ken Condon for being a terrific host. And one final note to the Dawson supporters. The other night I went to the Knicks game and watched Lynn match up with the prepared, angry, and focused Deron Williams of the New Jersey Nets, one of the most talented point guards in the world. And let's just say for that night, logic was restored. So let's see what happens on April 28th.
Kerry, you were right on until that last comment. You'll see what's restored in April, right on HBO. It's my pleasure to bring up at this time our host and my longtime friend, Ken Condon.
All right, fellas. This is a boxing promotion. I don't give a shit about basketball. All right, welcome members of the press and media. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support of our boxing program in Atlantic City. And when you think of boxing in Atlantic City, you can only think of one casino, and that's Caesars Atlantic City. We've hosted 99% of the major championship fights in Atlantic City, and we look forward to hosting this great matchup in Atlantic City. It is a pleasure to be back working with Gary Shaw. Gary and I go back to many, many years ago, maybe too many than I want to think about, but a long time ago when Gary was on member of the commission and pretty much was my confidant in terms of helping me understand the boxing business and gave me a lot of insight into it. And I still love it today. Richard, it's always a pleasure dealing with Golden Boy, and you and David have been a pleasure to deal with as always. Aaron, my bodyguard from the New Jersey Boxing Commission, couldn't do it without you. Aaron's been a great partner in this process and we look forward to it. You know, there is a unique situation when you look into New Jersey. There's a certain point in New Jersey that there's a boundary, and everything, when you get over that boundary, sort of switches to Philadelphia sports. And Bernard Hopkins is from Philadelphia and really is associated very highly with South Jersey and the Atlantic City market. So it's like Bernard's home, Atlantic City, and we look forward to welcoming Bernard back to Atlantic City. And we're very thankful that both fighters have agreed to make this show and make this show available to the East Coast boxing fans. It's a great fight for the East Coast boxing fans. And we look forward to a great matchup, and we look forward to a great night on April 28th. About 4 years ago, I was doing a press tour with Bernard. He was fighting a fellow by the name of Kelly Pavlik. And we had about 3,000 people show up in Ohio. And Bernard was there, and the crowd was obviously for Kelly Pavlik. And Bernard walked around and he voted on the posters. And I'm thinking to myself, man, that's got to be one of the hardest things someone to do when you have 3,000 people who want to see you get your butt beat. And he ends up going to Atlantic City and showing the people from the Pavlik crew what boxing was all about. That night, Bernard Hopkins beat Kelly Pavlik handily. The man to my right is a legend in boxing, and we are very fortunate to have him in boxing, and we look forward to hosting this show in Atlantic City, and we look forward to hosting Bernard Hopkins and Chad Dawson. We look forward to a great night. Everyone get your tickets, they're on sale tomorrow, and get ready for a great night boxing in Atlantic City. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. Let me introduce our team first. Crystal, Chad's wife, is sitting over here. Walter Kane, Chad's attorney. John Scully, who came re-aboard in Chad's last fight, but he had been with Chad earlier in his career, and they just gelled. Rather than introduce Chad by giving his accomplishments and his record and all that, I want to take about 5 minutes not to rewrite history, but to relive history so that everybody knows why we're here today. For years, Bernard Hopkins said he would fight Chad Dawson, but never would fight Chad Dawson. He went on ESPN and said, if Chad wins this fight, he'll fight, whatever. After Bernard fought Pascal, they wanted a rematch. We were next in line. We had the contract. We stepped aside with the provision that Bernard would fight Chad next. And to their credit, they did fight Chad next. They honored that commitment. In that fight, whether you think Bernard fouled Chad or you believe Chad fouled Bernard, at the end of the fight, the referee raised Chad's hand as the winner of that fight, no matter what you believe. After that happened, there came a time where the referee wrote to the Attorney General of California and said, Chad won the fight, and these are my reasons for believing that Chad won the fight and raising Chad's hand as the winner of that fight. Golden Boy, on behalf of Bernard Hopkins, disputed that. We went to a hearing in California where the referee got up and changed his entire story and believed it should be a no contest. We were shocked. I admit that. We sat there with our mouths open, especially after we were in receipt of the letter to the Attorney General. And that's how the commission voted, no contest. After that, we went to the WBC convention, where the Golden Boy representatives, on behalf of Bernard Hopkins, lobbied for no rematch, no mandatory immediate rematch with Chad Dawson. I believe had they won that, there'd never be another fight between Bernard Hopkins and Chad Dawson. I lobbied hard as I've ever lobbied for a fighter, on behalf of Chad, gave all my reasoning why this rematch should happen, for not only the benefit of the Chad, but for the benefit of boxing, once and for all. And that's how we're here today. The WBC demanded an immediate rematch. To Richard's credit and Golden Boy, and certainly to Bernard and his team, they accepted that decision. And to Ken Hirschman's credit, he bought the fight. That's the history. There is no other history. There's nobody rewriting history. That's the history of the fight. That's how we're here today. This fight will not end like fight one. Chad was like no one I've ever seen in the ring, and I've been with Chad most of his career. He was angry, he was disturbed, he was frustrated. He wanted to fight Bernard Hopkins, and he wanted to give the fans their money's worth. And it didn't come to pass. I will tell you that that will not happen in this fight. This is going to be a fight to the finish. This is a once and for all. This is Bernard's, Hopkins' goodbye to South Jersey and Philadelphia. Chad Dawson is the best 175-pounder in the world. I've always believed it. I've always believed that he's been underappreciated because of his style, because he makes his boxing look effortless, and because of that, he doesn't get the accolades or the appreciation from the fans that he should. I want to present to you the man that I know is the best 175-pounder in the world, the man that will walk out on April 28th victorious, once and for all, Bad Chad Dawson.
I just want to say a couple things. I'm not going to be a bit long, but I want to thank HBO, Ken Hirschman, you know, everybody who lobbied for this fight to happen again. I know a lot of fans were disappointed after the last fight, but I just want to make one thing clear. On that night, I came to fight. I came to fight. I wanted to fight Bernard Hopkins, and I was looking forward to dethroning him that night. You know, but when he pulled the stunt he pulled, which was a stunt to me because it was a stunt, you know, I mean, it messed up all of my plans. So now I'm back here. I gotta fight him again. I gotta go through the same things I went through before. When, in all actuality, after that night, I should have been the champion. I don't know how he feels about it. I don't know how you Bernard Hopkins fans feel about it. You know, you guys are still running around saying this guy's a legend, but legends don't act the way this guy acts. They don't do the things he does. I would have fought Bernard Hopkins with one finger that night. One finger, and probably still would have won. But you know, I'm not gonna go on crying about that stuff. But this fight, I just want a fair fight. I want Bernard to come out and fight. I don't want no low blows, no headbutts, no. Let's just be two men, like the men we are, and let's fight. That's all I want, Bernard. That's all I want. I just want to fight. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you. Let me just say make a few comments before I'm going to introduce Team Hopkins. Gary Shaw said that Chad Dawson was angry, frustrated, and disturbed. But he's never seen him like that. Well, that's no reason to go and lift your opponent off your feet and slam him to the ground just because you're angry, frustrated, and disturbed. There really is no place in boxing, and I agree with you, Chad, this should be a boxing fight and not a wrestling match. And I do hope that you leave your wrestling tactics at home and come to fight, and that you're not going to be angry, frustrated, and disturbed, because I do know that the Athletic Commission here in Atlantic City is not going to tolerate that kind of behavior. The other thing is, you know, WBC or any other sanctioning organization, they don't make fights. They certainly don't make fights at that level. And there was no reason for Bernard Hopkins to take the fight. just because the WBC ordered it. There were many other options, but it just shows you what Bernard Hopkins is all about, what he's made of, that he accepted this challenge and he's going to set the record straight once and for all. It's a pleasure now to acknowledge some of the team members, Eric Meltzer, the attorney, Phil, Malik, Danny Davis and Sharif Parker are not here, but Nassim Richardson, Bernard Hopkins' longtime trainer, is here, and I'd like to ask him up to the podium to make some comments.
Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to thank everybody that made this fight happen. Richard and everybody at HBO, and Mr. Shaw and his team. Like I said, I've known Chad since he was a young athlete, since he was a young kid, and he's a very talented athlete. But the challenge is now, as we deal with the history of this month, and we talk about throwbacks and like he said, legends, I key on certain things. Like when the young man was speaking earlier, he said, I gotta fight this man again. He didn't say, I get to fight this man again. One says one thing to me, the other one says something else to me. And I key on small things like that when I watch athletes. This athlete sitting to my right is cut from a cloth that I'm sure you guys remember. We've been in the losses here of late, and we've seen the history. When we've lost the Goody Petronellis, we've lost the Angelo Dundees, we've lost the Joe Fraziers. These guys are what we call old school. This is what we call legacy and history. This guy's cut from that crew. And like I said, he's cut from one of those old school guys, like the great Bowie Fischer out of Philadelphia. This is our history. Butch Lewis and all these guys that we had lost, Bernard Hopkins is cut from that cloth. So I challenge the reporters and everybody to remember history and know the history of this sport. Reporters, there's nothing can be said about this man we haven't said. So even as a reporter, you're going to be challenged on this particular outing. Because now you have to find something to write about this man in the magnitude that befits him. And like I said, you've already written so much about Bernard Hopkins. Where do I go now? You know what I mean? So your creativity is going to have to come out. Mr. Smith and all you guys have been around and been writing about this man for years. You know what I mean? Because he is a legend. He has proven his legacy time and time again. When I look at Chad Dawson, I see a young man who has a future in front of him. But I've also seen a man like Bernard Hopkins do damage to young fighters as far as their future went. You know, all of this sounds great. When you go to the film, you see, I argued with Bernard after the fight. They took me to the film. I said, Bernard, he didn't hook your leg. You know what I mean? And his massage guy said, no, look, and he showed me the film because I couldn't believe it. I was like, he literally hooks your leg and MMAs you. This is boxing. Okay, we can say what we want. We saw the film. Yeah, I mean, you can say what you want. This is rap. This is rap. We're talking. I gave him his opportunity to talk. I'm talking now. So I was courteous to him. I beg him to be courteous to me. But like I say, we show how we raise. My thing is, go to the film. You'll see what I'm talking about. But you won't have to, because in the second fight, Bernard Hopkins will be the legend that you've come to know, that you've come to understand. You know what I mean? And this young man, you'll see them guys hug in the ring and shake hands and nod heads and talk about good fight and all that after the fight. You'll see it at the end of the fight, because we've seen it time and time again. So all I ask you to do is I challenge the supporters of Dawson, and I challenge the Bernard Hopkins supporters that we should fill that arena up. We got two guys from the East Coast, and they on the East Coast home now. We should fill that arena up. So I thank you guys for your time and your patience.
Thank you, Nassim. You know, it always is really an honor and pleasure for me to introduce this legend. And I'm not going to go through all of that again, the legend and so on. We've heard all of that. But what I do want you to tell your readers or listeners or the people who are going to be watching at home, you have an opportunity on April the 28th at the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City to see one of undisputably, you know, those two sides, they might not agree on much, but I think they all agree that's one of the best fighters ever to lace up the gloves. And you're going to have an opportunity to see him for as little as $25. So I urge you, bring your families, bring your kids, bring people to Atlantic City to go and be part, to witness live Bernard the Executioner Hopkins. Please welcome Bernard the Executioner Hopkins.
All was said. That's what we like.
Short and sweet. Okay, I guess we are going to make the fighters available for one-on-ones now. We're going to post them as well. And I can't wait to see you all in Atlantic City. Thank you.
Everybody stay right over there. Just give us the time.
Okay, the one-on-ones.
Not yet.
Right to the one-on-ones.
Are we doing a face-off or not? That tells you everything you got to know. Hopkins doesn't want to do a face-off because he don't want to look in Dawson's face, in the eyes, and know what's coming on April 28th. You're looking at the truth.
TV cameras, come up to the podium, please.